This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now, from the Sunbury Motors studio, here's Steve Jones.
Half hour brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, the best in new inventory. I went with Ford, and it was everything I could ask it to be, starting with the buying experience. Pre-owned inventory, every single vehicle in the lot they go over with a fine-tooth comb. It eases your buying experience. And a terrific service department that backs it up every step of the way. It makes it one-stop shopping. They'll take care of quick lane inspections, routine, difficult, all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury, Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Todd, hello.
Hello.
There you go.
I see you made it back safely?
Yeah, I got back about 1:30 in the morning. I left at 7. And I mean, it was fine. I mean, I went through. I think I didn't make any stops, just went. And you're driving at that time of the night. I got through Worcester, which is usually bad. I got through Hartford, which is usually bad. And then after that, it's no big deal. I mean, I pulled in about 1:30 in the morning and got a good night's sleep, and here we are.
That last 2 hours, though, is the deer slalom across 80.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? Again, not bad. Not bad at all. So that worked out. Did you see that former Penn State assistant Adam Fisher is now the dean of Big Five coaches?
I did.
Billy Lang left St. Joe's, took the assistant's job with Mike Brown with the Knicks. And then they hired Steve Donahue, by the way. So now the person that's been with their program the longest in the Big Five is Adam Fisher at Temple, who's heading into his third year.
Was Steve already on staff now at St. Joe's?
That I'm not sure.
Because he was just let go at Penn, correct?
He was just let go at Penn,
yeah.
And Fran McCaffrey is now the head coach at Penn, and Steve I think is an absolutely terrific coach. This is he was not given much to work with in terms of resources at Penn, and in the end, it's going to cost. I don't care what you're coaching. You could be the greatest X and O guy in the face of the earth, but if you don't have the Jimmies and Joes to back up the X's and O's, what does it matter? And he didn't have. Penn doesn't give that kind of support. I mean, they just don't.
I mean, the Ivy League for so many years was Penn or Princeton, and it's strange right now for it to be Yale's the one that seems to be spending the most on basketball now.
Yeah, Yale, and probably Harvard is right after it. So, I mean, that's where they are. And, you have a lot of movement right now. For example, Penn State's going to play Villanova in football this weekend. Villanova's going to go to the Patriot League for football. Not for basketball, but for football. Okay, that's fine. They'll fit well because you don't have a requirement to put any salary money in if you're a Patriot League team. For example, and Bucknell is not opted in. And so there's no obligation to do it. They can really take their resources and just put it toward basketball, which is, where they make their money. The latest gambling deal has come out. It's 3 basketball players that are forever banned. And it's, I believe it's a player from Fresno State and San Jose State. So it's Fresno State forward Mikel Robinson, San Jose State guard Steven Vasquez, and the other Fresno State player, Jalen Weaver, who's a guard, are permanently ineligible due to gambling violations. Robinson and Vasquez were roommates at Fresno State in 23-24. It was alleged that they conspired to wager on Robinson to underperform in a game January 7th, 2025, in a game between Fresno State and Colorado State. 3 prop bets totaling $2,200 were placed on Robinson's stats. The bets were flagged by a Nevada sportsbook operator because the net winning was $15,950. One of the bets was placed allegedly by Vasquez and a sportsbook trader. During the game, Robinson altered his performance with 3 points, 2 rebounds, 1 three-pointer, and no assists. That meant that in every scenario on the prop bet, he was under. It is also alleged that Robinson placed 13 prop bets on daily fantasy sites from December 11, 2024 through January 11th of this year. The investigation also discovered that Robinson and Weaver, who were teammates at Fresno State, discussed the betting lines on each other's statistics and placed bets on themselves and each other in select games. Weaver also placed a $50 parlay bet on himself, and Robinson and a third student athlete won $260. Robinson has declined comment. Weaver did not immediately respond to a text, and efforts to reach Vasquez were unsuccessful. Shocking. Robinson last played for Fresno State on January 11th against Nevada. Vasquez graduated from San Jose State in May. The NCAA said Robinson and Vasquez did not cooperate with the investigation, but Weaver actually did. It was reported in February that the NCAA and Fresno State were investigating whether 2 men's basketball players had played in daily fantasy contests based on their own performances. Weaver told ESPN in February that he played a daily fantasy contest on his points total in the Fresno State home game against New Mexico on December 31st. Weaver said he risked $50 that he would score more than 11 points on the fantasy site Sleeper. He finished with 13 points in a 103-80 loss to New Mexico. I just made a bad decision. I shouldn't have even gotten involved with that. Now I'm obviously paying for it, he said. I bet on a game I played in, but I never tried to sabotage the season. I never bet on us to lose and never bet on my unders. So that's the latest.
I'm hoping people are learning that these schemes are a little harder to pull off than it looks like.
Yeah, that's what's interesting about this, is that you think if you bet little, that it'll go under the radar. And I mean, are you supposed to tell everybody I just had a bad day? And then you have Vasquez here, who played the over. In other words, he's trying to have a great game. Now, you're saying, well, what's bad about that? Well, then in order to get to the number, you become selfish and maybe take shots you shouldn't be taking. Maybe you should have passed up that shot and given it to somebody else. Okay, I have a closely guarded 3. There's a guy wide open under the basket, and I take the shot anyway. See what I mean?
Or you do the Ricky Davis back in the day, trying to get his triple-double and intentionally miss the shot and grab your own rebound to pad your stats.
Yeah. Yeah. One time Penn State did have a guy that led the Big Ten in offensive rebounding. And Dick and I both said, well, yeah, a lot of those offensive rebounds were his own shots. Adam Fisher texted me back. I said, it's a privilege for me to text the current dean of Big Five coaches. He said, Steve, this is insane. Crazy business we're in. Hope you're doing well. Take it easy on Nova this weekend. So you wanted to, I, of course, have nothing to do with that.
Do you get a pin for that?
Do I get a pin?
Yeah, for being the dean of coaches now.
Yeah, I don't know if they give you one. They should. Yeah, what the heck?
Got to get it to Billy before he leaves town.
No, I can tell you right now, Philly is already in his very small in his rearview mirror.
Yes,
Billy's gone. Yeah. Right? I mean, let's just be honest about it. Billy's not around. Not happening.
Billy's probably been in New York for a couple weeks.
Well, it sounds probably right. Oh man. So, yeah. It's amazing with the gambling part. You've seen, and it's been college players that have been hit with this. You know, first of all, there are more of them. Okay. And what's interesting is that you'll have players use their mother's maiden name. Okay. Now that tells you right away they know it's wrong. They'll try to do smaller bets, thinking that it's a small bet, it's a prop, it's no big deal, it's under the radar. Yet they're still getting caught. And that tells you a lot about the people that investigate this. Very interesting.
I mean, it's got to raise a red flag if there's a bunch of prop bets on the same guy from Fresno State in some mid-January Big West game.
Yeah, it doesn't say. All it says is that they bet on. They did it. It doesn't say a lot of people did it. That part's gray. I can't. You very well may be right, but I can't tell because it's not in the story.
Well, I mean, with the amount of identification you have to put in for some of those sites, I can't imagine they didn't know fairly soon that they were betting on themselves.
Well, here are the numbers, okay? Robinson was averaging better than 10 points a game, 6 rebounds a game. Okay. Weaver averaged 12.5 points, 4 rebounds a game. And Vasquez, he only played 11 games for San Jose State, but he was averaging 21 points a game. So I don't, you're trying to game the system when you're placing a $260 bet. And then it ends up with a $15,950 payout. Now, it could be that the third party, which is not named here, the third party here could be the one that sits back and says, hey, I got these guys here, and they're going under, right? And then the word starts to spread that and it happens the way you just said. I mean, that's a distinct possibility.
And it's kind of amusing that they get caught in the same way that they got caught when you had to call a bookie and bet. Too many people know.
Right. It's right. Too many people know. And then the word gets out about it, and thus you have this situation. But the players know. I mean, so this is not. Don't fall for the. Well, we need to do a better job of education. Knock it off. These guys. I can't stand when I hear stuff like that. I can't stand that. Right? Right? Remember the story about the football players and they were using a mother's maiden name? Well, they were educated, and they decided not to use their own names. Okay? They knew enough about the system where they used the mother's maiden name to put the bet in. Well, that means that they knew what the rules were because they were educated. I mean, just stop with the nonsense. There's too many people who have just dribbled nonsense, all right, because they want to sound like they're the most intelligent person at the party. Don't. Okay? You want to sound like the most intelligent person at the party? Sometimes it's good to say nothing.
We're way too late into legalized gambling to claim naivete.
Right, exactly. And that's why, well, we have to do a better job of educating them. Will you, okay, let me do this in plain English for you. Shut up. Okay? They know. Why are they doing all this stuff to circumvent it? Because they know. You've done your job. They're educated. Okay? You did your job. They're educated. Right? Guess what? They're at fault, not the system. Right? It's their fault. Right? And they knew it was wrong when they did it.
I mean, what does a guy care that graduated at this point?
Reputation.
Yeah. You
have to go out and get a job. Okay? You have to go out. I mean, maybe you want to continue your basketball life overseas. I mean, does it keep you from getting onto certain teams, certain places? Does your agent have to work harder to get you someplace because now you have a bad rep? I mean, your reputation takes a big hit. And
I don't know if you read that Tigers story today on The Athletic.
I started to. I mean, look, I'll admit, Todd, I got up a little late today. I started to, and then I had to go to the quarterback club.
And it's just one of those things. And it's about a lot of sexual harassment in the Tigers. Yeah. Is the point of the story, but going back, there's not a lot of consequences. If you read it, every one of those guys that got fired for that, when they contacted him, had a job in another sport. Now, was it Major League Baseball? No. I mean, it was the Arena League and the
right
and MLS and things like that. But I mean, they still got jobs. So I don't know. I'm a little down on consequences these days.
Yeah, but they got jobs before the story came out.
Well, that's true too.
Okay, so they got the jobs before the story came out, and that's a big part of this. Okay, great news. Right? Now, are there consequences today as they're reading the story?
Nah, I think we'll see tomorrow.
Right. I mean, in other words, there could be consequences now where people say, "Hey, look, I just read this. Yeah, I'm sorry, you're out."
You're not a good guy.
Right? We're not really keen on your ethics. Yeah. We're not keen on that. But, yeah, it's so they got jobs other places. But, it's natural for somebody to sit there and say, hey, I'm going to take a job someplace else. And I just got a job with, I was with the Tigers, and now I've got a job with the Columbus Crew in MLS. It's a great move for me. Okay. So do you think twice about that? No. There's no story out about you with alleging sexual harassment, so they don't think twice about it. They just think they just hired a guy from the Detroit Tigers, right?
I guess my flags go up because I'm thinking, why would you make a lateral move to the Crew?
Jeez, I don't know. I mean,
it just means if you're in Major League Baseball, you usually move up. You don't make a lateral move to another sport.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, but in other words, the job probably was advertised. And all you have to do is say, well, I was just really intrigued by it. I've always wanted to live in Columbus. I don't know.
I'm a giant Ohio State fan.
This is really great.
Go Bucks.
Well, I don't want to live in Detroit anymore. Okay, I mean, okay.
That worked a little better 10 years ago, too.
Yeah, I know. No, Detroit's, to its credit, is a lot better now. Not perfect, but a lot better. But that's, there are a lot of people that change sports along the way. There have been people who have left here that I was surprised that left here. And then, several of them have come back. And I kind of felt like they were lateral moves when they made them. And then they came back and they were like, hey, you know what? Grass isn't always greener. I've seen that happen before with people. I don't know. Meanwhile, I'm here every day, same job. Punch in, punch out. I can't find anybody else. Yeah. No.
You're talking to the same guy who's worked at the same paper for 33 years, so yeah. I get it.
Well, no, that's why I was with Katron Allen, Kyron Hudson, and Zariah Fisher today. And we were going up the elevator together with Jordan Hill. And Jordan says, hey, tell him how long you've been here. And I said, well, it's 44th year for basketball, 34th for football. And they were like, oh. I said, hey, no, don't worry. I said, they just can't find anybody else. I said let's not. So, yeah. All right. We'll take a break. Back with more in a moment here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The Beverage Supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
Hi, this is Dave Moyer,